Hey Gerald, thanks for coming on.
Thank you once again.
No worries, no worries. So today, I just got a couple of questions for you, with the view of helping any budding songwriter out there who's looking to, who's got some songs and who's looking to start pursuing a career in songwriting, Gerald.
hmm
Okay, so the first question is, so I've written some songs, Gerald. Now what?
well, normally you would want to have a plan before you write the songs. Uh, what do you want to do with the songs? Do you want to have a live act? Do you want to sell the songs to somebody else? You know, uh, if you wanted to sell them to somebody else, the best thing to do is to go to a publishing house and let them do the work for you. And that's the split there is always 50-50. The publishing house always takes 50%. And that would probably be a lot better for you as a musician, even if you were just trying to sell them or to uh, work as a band. They can license the songs out to television, which is probably the biggest avenue of money right now for songwriters. Um, they could license, try and find an established singer that would like to use the song, um, sell them a license. And if you're thinking of taking the act live, then time to put a band together.
Cool.
Get a touring agent, perhaps a manager. So it depends which road you decide to walk down, you know.
Excellent. Okay, fair enough. And that actually quite neatly leads me to the next question, which you've touched upon, but actually helps you answer the other question as well, because it's the different things. What are the different avenues for me to monetize or to pursue commercial success in songwriting?
Well, getting it out to as many people as possible, you know. And this goes back to my first thoughts were, are you willing to let go of the song? A lot of people aren't, you know. If you are willing to let go of the song, then you have a lot more avenues that open up to you, and particularly from a publishing house standpoint, you know, because they deal with such a wide spectrum of things like television, movies, um, uh, uh, commercials, uh, other artists. Uh, that opens the door a lot, and then there you can, if you want, to stream the music yourself. You know, I mean, a lot of these places like CD Baby act somewhat like a publishing house.
Sure.
They help get your stuff out there. I mean, they have different levels of working with you. But if you're short of cash and you can't go out and buy a fancy manager or you know have a hard time get a deal with a publishing company, this is a good way to start. And then just getting your stuff out there. Just putting links everywhere for your stuff that you think is viable. Getting as many people to hear it as possible. You know.
So it's either, and I have a specific question about what you said, but it's either um, put a record together and monetize them yourself that way, self-distribute, or don't put a record together but license them through a publishing house, right?
I would say yes, but I mean, we've had this conversation before. I mean, what's a record deal anymore? Companies aren't doing anything for you. So I would say, forget about that right now. And besides, record companies are more interested in established uh, artists now.
Okay.
They're more interested in somebody who's already got a name or got somewhat of a name or been on the college circuit for a little while, maybe it's gotten played on college radio a little. You know, they, if you don't have any of those things, chances are they're not too interested in you. You know, and they're not too interested in promoting your music. They're going to want, they're looking for people, not music. You know, they want someone good looking, got a little bit of talent that they figure that they could sell somewhere. You know, make the next teen star out of. You know, so that's really the record company's market is so narrowed down now. They have such a small piece of the pie now that you know, I think you're much better off going the publishing route. You know.
Okay. Cool.
Publishing companies can offer you so much more. You know.
Yeah.
In terms of monetization, you know,
which you couldn't realistically do by yourself.
Yeah, you could, but publishing companies still have contacts. You know,
yeah,
they're definitely the bridge.
Okay, so you said earlier about letting go. When you said, you know, when we were talking about going for a publishing house, and you said, oh, if you're prepared to let go of your song, would you be able to dive a bit deeper into that? You know, what does it actually mean to let go of your song? What you're letting go of?
Let's say that they take the song to let's say a television show is looking for a certain type of music, and they like your song, but they don't like the way you've produced it, and they don't like who's singing on it, and they want somebody else to do it.
So they like the song, but not the record.
Yeah, that's part of letting go. You know, is it a song? Look, when a publishing company shops things around, they're not necessarily shopping a record. They're shopping a song. They're going to take one or two of your songs that they like, and they're going to try and shop those things around. They're not going to shop a record for you.
Of course.
You know, not unless you're already an established, you know, songwriter or artist. You know, so that's more likely what you'll get from a publishing company is they'll take one or two songs that they like of yours and really push them with somebody, you know. And traditionally movie houses, they want to own the song.
Okay.
So they'll pay you for writing them the song, a flat fee for writing the song. And that's a loophole in the law of copyright laws. So that's generally the way movie houses work. So if you know, not always, but you know, 75% of the time they pay you to write a song. The song belongs to them.
So that's a work for hire scenario where you're making a new song for them.
That's a work for hire. Yes.
Well, that sounds like something that's lucrative, at least.
It can be. And sometimes, you know, they'll pay you and then give you some points on the song.
Okay, cool. So obviously points for anyone listening is like percentage points on royalties.
Yeah, based on, you know, whatever you agree on, you know, how many times it's played, how many times it's shown in the theater, where, you know.
It's like producer points, isn't it?
Yeah, more, that would be what it would be considered, producer points. Yeah.
Cool. That's good stuff. So you've answered those questions. So is it basically, you know, pursue yourself as an artist, whether you go through your own, through distribution and you pursue it yourself, or you go through a record company, or you just try and license through publishing houses? Is there anything else?
Well, there's a private manager, you know, who works somewhat like a publishing house and somewhat like a tour manager, and is out selling you to clubs, if you know that, to play, trying to getting you on openings on tours with established artists. And he could also have contacts in the television industry or commercial industry, selling your songs that way, you know.
Here's a question, random one that just came to my head. And this is very much to do with copyright, and I'm pretty sure I know what the answer is. Well, I know what the answer is, but can I buy your song? I mean, buy your song, not buy a copy of it.
Yes, you can, technically, but no.
Awesome.
It's one of those loops in the law. You know, movie houses are allowed to do that because that was established in the copyright laws. You per se, no. You know, you can have writers that work for you and you pay for them and they write you songs.
Indeed. Okay. But that would have to be under a company or something like that.
Yeah, you'd have to have a holding company, and you know, it's complicated. You know, that is
It is, isn't it?
that's one of the reasons that there are copyright laws now, is because so many of these people who used to write songs like that got a lot of their stuff stolen and
Sure.
never made any money for it. So that is why the copyright laws were started. So that kind of stuff wouldn't happen.
To
You know,
protect people from getting ripped off, basically.
yeah, I mean, record companies used to take your masters and your music, you know, and they can't do that anymore, you know, because of these laws. So,
Yeah, I mean, you know, it's a good thing. I mean, when I first ever started reading up on copyright law, I used to find it very intimidating. But the more I read into it, the more I realized how much of a good thing it is that these laws exist and why they exist.
oh, absolutely. I mean, listen, that was I wouldn't say that that was the starting of the downfall of record companies, but they fought against it, you know.
It was the downfall of them ripping artists off, I suppose.
It hasn't stopped them. They're
No,
just ripping
sure.
few. They're just ripping fewer people off now.
Yeah, sure. Fair enough. Well, they do what they do, right?
But you know, I mean, listen, I know copyright laws are complicated and people don't understand them. But if you're writing music, you need to understand what your rights are. You
Yeah,
know,
of course you do.
I know things are a little clouded in Great Britain as far as copyright laws go, but you can copyright your laws in the States. That the copyright here in DC, they accept copyright from all over the world. It's not just, you know, there's no stated law in Great Britain about it.
There's no official process in Great Britain.
No, they just people just are directed to copyright their stuff with the copyright board here in the United States, and that's how it works. You know,
That's, I mean, registering copyright anyway.
registering, yeah.
Because copyright is copyright, right?
You don't have to register yourself.
Yeah.
You know, once you
Yeah,
write
but
a song with somebody, that's it. It's a song. It's you have your copyright. I mean, of course, you want to do it for the legalese and if you have to go to court over it, you know, and if you ever sign a deal with a publishing company or a record company, you need to show them copyright, you know.
tangible form.
Yes, and it's to protect you as well, you know, not just them.
Cool. Well, that answers my questions, Gerald, unless you have any extra pointers on that.
I don't, but you know, there's plenty of places online now where you can read up on this stuff, you know.
Yeah, I mean, the couple of websites that I found quite useful recently are actually CD Baby themselves and Ditto Music has some good information about this stuff.
There's actually some law companies that have some great stuff about it, you know, and put it in layman's language so that you do understand it, you know. It's very complicated, you know, and that's what lawyers are for.
That's what lawyers are for. That's why they exist. That's
Yeah.
why they exist. You know, they don't. Otherwise, they wouldn't exist, would they?
Mm-hmm.
Um,
One last thing I would say about anybody who goes into a deal with, even, and forget about the record companies, goes into a deal with a publishing company, make sure you get a lawyer for that as well. Don't just sign on the line. Always take it to a lawyer. Make sure that your best interests are preserved. But no publishing company can take more than 50%.
don't leave home without one, Gerald.
Mm-hmm. Yes.
I'll never forget when you first said that. Actually, I was like, okay, don't leave home without lawyer. Cool, Gerald. That's really, really helpful. Thank you very much for answering those questions. And we'll see you for the next one.
All right. Sounds good.
Cheers, Gerald. Take care of yourself.
Thank you.